Okay, this is now our next topic. So we have discussed the functional point. This time we have LOC for the lines of codes. Sometimes this is also known as SLOC for source lines of code. It is also used to directly calculate the effort to be spent on the project. We can use this as we identify the programming language and the technology to be used. So, predefined po si programming language and the technology. And this technique includes the calculation of lines, documentation of pages, inputs, outputs, and generally the components of a software program. Okay. Now, what are the considerations for the lines of codes? Ano yung dapat nating bilangan? Ano yung hindi? The count includes the lines of codes given to the client. Okay? And that is written by the development team. However, the count should exclude, you are not to consider this, the code created by the application generator. So these are third-party tools. The comments inserted to improve readability. The blank lines are not as well included. Okay? Take note that SLOC technique is language dependent. It depends on specific type of language experience. This may not be the same kasi on some other languages. Okay? Now, consider these lines of codes. Suppose in your programs there are functions. Well, these functions could be grouped into several modules. So functions like user interface and control facilities, you have to count the number of lines. On another module, you might have this. So suppose that this is the complete module of your system. So what you're going to do based on the previous constraints that we enumerated, you have to count the number of lines. So LOC here stands for number of lines. You have to count the lines on your codes one at a time. Take note that you have to consider which is to be included and which is not. Now the formula for us to calculate the lines of codes, then we have to consider the cost per LOC. On the cost per LOC, you have the burden labor rate and productivity. So we will define these terms on the next slide. The project cost is an input from the previous formula. That is, you have to take the result of the cost per LOC and the LOC estimates, and this time we have to refer on the estimated lines of code in this table. The project effort is equal to the project cost. So it is necessary to compute first this project cost before proceeding to the project effort. So project effort is equal to the project cost divided by the burdened labor rate. Okay, so let's define related terms. It was enumerated by the formula, so we made mention about burdened labor rate. What is a burdened labor rate? So you might check on the details, but the burdened labor rate is the actual hourly cost of an employee. So hourly cost. Ibig sabihin, these are payments given to the employee. We also made mention about PM or person month. This is a measurement that is to be considered in terms of person days, person month. So in this example, we have to consider person month. Now there are two factors to measure productivity. First is the effort. The effort required to build a system. The second is the size of the software that is delivered. So there would be unit of measurement later if we are to consider productivity. So let us now proceed to the example. So say the given is we have an estimated lines of codes of a system, a total of 33,200. So this was from this table. So we refer on the contents on the table, and that would be the basis of our estimated lines of code. The average productivity for a system. Remember that we have the two factors for productivity. That's the effort required to build the system and the size of the software. So therefore, in this example, we have the two variables. Average productivity for system of this type is 620 lines of codes per person month. Okay, then we have the labor rate, which is $800 per person month. Okay, so hopefully that you can still recall on what we have made mention about the definitions of the units here in the example. Now, your goal is to calculate the cost per LOC, the project costs required, and the project effort. Okay, so let's do the calculation. Based from the given value a while ago, the burdened labor rate is equal to $800 per PM. So this is from the given. Divided by 620 LOC per PM. Okay, so babalikan po natin. We have here the burdened labor rate, 800 per PM. So we just substituted the value. Productivity is at 620 per person month. Now, if we are to do the computations here, that will give us $1.29. So we can also consider final result as $1.3 per lines of code. So on the project cost, the formula is the cost per LOC, so our previous computation here is an input, times the lines of code. So we have to substitute the value for the cost per project. It's 1.3 per LOC, we have it here, times the lines of code estimate. So ito ay from the table. So we have 33,200 LOC. That the project cost is equal to $43,200. This is the cost of the project. For the project effort, we have the formula project cost divided by burdened labor rate. So based from our given, we have $800 per PM, and based from the derived values on project cost, we have 43,200. So project effort then, if we want to calculate this, it's $54 per PM. So it's $54 per PM. Next. I will be giving you now your second exercise. The first exercise was taken from the function point. So this time, given the constraints, the variables here, the values, you have to calculate for the cost per lines of code, the project cost, and the project effort. This will be submitted on your portal.